Music Matters. Mr. Dylan Thom.
Hello.
How are you today, my friend? Yeah, thanks for doing this, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Really appreciate you making the drive down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess just a little bit of background. I found your stuff originally because I went to a UCLA house show where my friend Truman Sinclair was performing. And I try to, like, shows that I go to, I always kind of try to make an effort to get there, like, and catch the opening bands if I can. Mario is probably shaking his head because I'm not always good with the timing, but I always try to.
For sure.
And and I always hope to find somebody who I end up sticking with, but I feel like it's rarer rather than it is common. But yeah, I mean, I saw your set and I was just totally blown away.
Thank you.
And became a fan of your stuff after that. But yeah, so it's sick to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was a really fun show. I'm excited to show everyone the new stuff and to actually put it out.
Yeah.
Which you heard all of the new stuff. And yeah, the new chapter is exciting.
Yeah, so that was a super sick bill. Like front to bottom, everything was all three acts were really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that was really cool too, because your live set, it exists in like a. I mean, the way that when I was thinking about it this morning, I think the way that I felt about it. It almost was cool because you're playing almost in two different genres that kind of contrast in a lot of ways. Like it almost has like a lot of the melodies and some of the subtleties of traditional folk songwriting, then it's contrasted with a much louder, almost shoegazy sound at points. And I think that contrast is really cool. So it's kind of exciting to hear you talk about the new stuff and how you're moving more in that direction, do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the stuff I have out right now is like more indie folk vibes and like kind of more traditionally, like in that sense, like not really breaking any walls down or anything. And I think that definitely moving into the more alternative stuff, been inspired a lot by like Radiohead and like shoegaze and whatnot. So I think kind of like combining those two worlds and finding something that feels like me is that's like the difference from now and then. It's like feeling like it's like something that reflects my actual like identity, as opposed to just like, oh, like here's an indie folk song, or oh, here's a shoegaze song. Like finding the balance between the two,
like your sound.
Yeah, like something that feels like right, like inside of me, like in my own skin kind of vibe, like but sonically.
Yeah, that I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think it's honestly, like, I think it's an underrated skill to be able to make something that entirely feels like you. I also think it's equally as hard to, like, make something sometimes that matches your taste. I feel like a lot of musicians sometimes, they almost, like, are... Like, I think people can have really, really specific taste, but, like, nailing that on the head can be very difficult. Sometimes you got to figure out not only what you want to say, but how you want to appear and how you want to sound and what the brand looks like. And all those things together can make it very difficult to like nail the image in your head, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally feel that. For me, like it's like I love like all different types of music. Like I feel like some artists are kind of like really specific, and I am specific too, but like I love like, you know, like rap music or like pop, even like pop music or whatever it is. And then like, so navigating that is definitely like really can be really tough, and I've definitely experienced that too. Like, you know, you might like rap music, but you're not a rapper. But how do you know you're not a rapper?
Yeah,
you know
that's true.
Like until you try. Like how are you gonna like? It's just like.
And then it's also like, what is a rapper? Because like, you know, like Zach De La Rocha is like a rapper, but like I wouldn't call Rage Against the Machine like a rap band, you know? So it's like then the lines get blurry. I always think it's kind of about just like figuring out whatever hodgepodge of all those different influences feels the most like you. Like I definitely feel that. Like I always question, like, if I were to, like, pursue music and start a solo project, like, what would it sound like? Because I think very similarly to you in the sense that I like everything. Like, there is not one genre of music that I don't at least like something in. So it's hard to kind of figure out, like, do you want to sound like what you like, or do you want to sound like something entirely different, you know?
Yeah. It's a struggle. It can be a struggle.
Did you feel like with some of the more indie folk stuff that you have out on streaming services right now, when you were kind of, you know, working in that lane more so, did you feel boxed in at all? Like you used the word walls a couple minutes ago. Did you feel like there were some walls up when you were kind of operating within that sound exclusively?
Like I think yes, like but I think it's more of like a personal growth thing, like because I feel like maybe I wasn't really ready to like be like an I guess it's gonna sound really cringe, but like an artist, you know, like,
yeah,
because I was just kind of like, I was a producer and making records, and also like my headspace was like, I was making songs with like helping other people make their songs, and like recording people, like being an engineer, and then being like, I want to make my own stuff, but really like was just trying to make like, you know, like a Bon Iver album, you know, like I like what was my own stuff at that point. Like I didn't have like that. Like I feel like at the core of like any like effective like artist project, there's kind of like an identity, and I feel like I didn't really, at least it didn't feel like to me I had the identity like then. Like I feel like I was just like making stuff, and now it feels like different, but that could also just be like BS in my head, and like, and it's the same, but so I don't have like the answer, but yeah, like I think more now I have like, I feel like I have an identity in that I'm going for something, as opposed to just like trying to make like my favorite artist like record again.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it is easier sometimes to hide behind that identity as a producer, because you kind of are playing the role of a chameleon. Like as a producer, you're kind of morphing into whatever room you're in, you know, like you're matching not only like, you know, like not only like the artist, but the artist's band, and like who, you know, if it's somebody co-produced it or co-wrote it or whatever, you're kind of working in tandem with a lot of different people. Whereas like when you're working on your stuff, and I saw that most of the stuff you have out now is fully self-produced. Yeah. So when you're kind of doing it that way, I think you're then able to experiment more. And I don't want to say solitude, but just like you can figure out what it is that like Dylan, you know, sounds like, which is very different.
Yeah. I feel like just because you like produce, like I feel like being a producer and being an artist is like completely different. Totally. And like I was watching like Tony Berg, goated producer, talk about this, and he's like, it's better for like these two to be separate. And as a producer, like before, I was kind of like, oh, like I can just make my own stuff, and then it's like I don't know what I want to make, and that's like even though you produce your own stuff, it's like totally different things still. Like you have to have both. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna produce this for myself. It's like I feel like you have to have like a goal kind of, or just like a inspiration or whatever.
Was the intention to always self-produce your own music, or would you ever bring your artist project to another producer? Because that's probably a weird thing, being a producer for so long.
Yeah, I feel like it probably will always be to some extent like self-produced, but I mean I'm obviously open to working with people. I love like collaborating too. Like I work with my brother all the time, and like all my like really close friends. Like
he plays in your band, right?
Yeah, he does. Okay. He does like synth and bass
beep boop
at the same time. Yeah, he goes crazy. But
I saw him in the live session you posted on YouTube.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy doing both. Yeah, he's a legend.
Also crazy that Tommy DeBourbon's in that. You know Tommy? Yeah, goated slide player. Yeah, shout out Tommy. He's the best. But yeah, I saw him and I was like, that's crazy. That video, it brings a tear to my eye that has 300 views. It's like everything. I know. You're like, me too, bro.
I think it's funny. I'm kind of like, whatever. I fucking think it's sick, and like
it's so sick.
And like I spent like we all put like our heart and soul into it. Yeah. And like one day maybe it'll get seen, but it's there, and that makes me happy, and it's funny that it has like 300 views.
Dude, it deserves like so much more than that. But I'm getting the impression too, I wasn't aware of this prior, but I'm getting the impression that you were a producer for a long time before you launched this artist project, correct? Yeah. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. How long were you producing other people's music prior to that? And you're not from LA, right? Did you move here to pursue production?
Yeah, I'm from Florida. I was like in bands like when I was a kid, like from like age 11 till like 18 or whatever, 17. And then I took a gap year and started like recording like rappers and shit, like full blown like engineer. Yeah, in South Florida.
Whoa, you were in South Florida in 2018, right?
Yeah.
Crazy time to be in South Florida. You were like like X period, huh?
Yeah, when X was like coming up, I was in high school.
Oh yeah, really cool. Crazy time to be in South Florida.
It was really, it was cool. But yeah, so I did that for like 3-4 years, like just like engineering, producing, and then eventually like finally made my mind, that's like I need to stop fucking around and just like do what I actually like really want to do. Yeah. And then that's what kind of sent me to LA.
And how long ago was that?
That was 3 years ago.
Gotcha. So you decided that you kind of wanted to move away from the producing for other people thing, and then moved to LA and kind of launch your own artist project here?
Yeah, exactly.
What were the biggest growing pains when you first moved here and had to like get to this place where now you're rolling out some of the stuff you're more excited about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like the expenses.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
I was used to like, I was coasting, you know, like I had like a studio, was paying like the rent or the mortgage on that, and just like consistent work coming in.
Is Florida significantly cheaper than LA?
Not, I mean, yes, but like not where I'm from anymore. Like it's getting to be like expensive as fuck too. But yeah, it is. It's less expensive, but also like I had just spent like my whole life like growing a network there. So it was like at the point where I didn't have to do anything, and like people just text me like every day, like, can I get a studio session? Yeah. Can we work on this, that?
I felt similarly to where I'm from, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so moving here and like knowing like nobody and like no one knows like how good you are, like what you did, and it's just like starting from square one. That was like really a challenge at first, but yeah.
How'd you begin to make connections when you first moved out here?
Well, my girlfriend Hannah, she lived here first, and she's an amazing photographer and director. But
did she direct that live session? Or
no, she did help out, but no, my friend Addie Carre,
sick,
in New York.
Holy plane! Oh my god, that was crazy.
But she helped me make the music video for Carrie, which is the next song coming out.
Cool.
Yeah, but gosh, what was I saying?
Growing a network out here.
Yes. Oh yeah. So yeah, like she had friends like at her like at art center, like the university or college that she went to, and then kind of grew from there. And actually, like a lot of people from Florida moved here. Like I knew like a lot of like so slowly but surely like just like built it up. And
nice.
The rest is just natural. Whatever.
Yeah, I feel like the finances and the meeting people are the two most difficult parts.
Yeah.
I felt very lucky, I think, to have, because I'm from the Bay Area, and like growing up there, it's not like adjacent to LA, but it's close enough to where like the pipeline is very present. Like there's a ton of people that move from the Bay Area to LA, or I mean, I think there used to be people as well who moved from LA to the Bay Area. So I knew a good amount of people like when I moved down here, but it was strange because I think you also have to like find your footing, because like you can know people here, but it's like, are they the right people? It takes time to kind of like phase out where you fit in, not only in like a professional and a musical sense, but also in like a personal sense. Like it can get weird when you move to a place and you're like, all right, like am I around this person because they're just here and I need friends, or am I around this person because I click with them? It can get really strange quickly.
That is a really good way to put it. Strange.
Yeah. When you first moved here, was the stuff you were producing more in like the folk lane, or were you still doing a lot of the rap stuff?
Well, when I moved here, I stopped, like, I didn't seek that out. So, like, I just was only seeking out, like, I did, like, pop stuff, indie folk stuff, mostly, only. So I kind of left the rap behind, but I would still go... I left the rap behind.
I got out of the rap game.
I got out of the rap game. I still think, like, I think it's funny, like, where I'm at now. It's just like so different of a world, but it definitely, like, I feel like my experience kind of like shaped me to be like where I'm at now, like to where I have like all the tools to like I know how to like record vocals or like and like produce and like whatnot. So it's all like beneficial, I think.
I would imagine like growing up producing hip hop and then going into the genre that you're in is probably such like a like. Do you work in FL? Like
no.
I feel like because like my roommate, he makes like, I don't know, what would you call Monet, like indie rock music, I guess. I guess I don't indie pop, I don't know, whatever. But like he grew up like making rap beats too, so like he still like exclusively works in FL, and like that's like his shit. And he's like he'll like use Omnisphere and stuff. Like he produces like he's like a rapper, which is like so funny to watch.
That's sick.
Do you still like resonate with a lot of that older music that you were into and grew up with? Like will you go back and listen to it a lot, or do you feel like your taste has evolved since you moved here and kind of began to like explore other avenues?
I feel like both, you know, like it's always going to be there, you know, but I also like I wasn't like a full blown, like I was like always into like rock and alternative. Like I've always had like an eclectic taste and like made that music. It's not like I like only like did only rap music or whatever, but like, so yeah, but yeah, it's all part of it. And it's fun to listen to, you know, and there's also good hip hop music being made now, and like,
a ton, yeah, and
just like anything else. So.
Yeah, 100%. It I would imagine too, like as you kind of, well, I guess I'll ask you this: as you have gone into a different sonic territory, has the kinds of shows and the people you've been around and working with, has that been a bit of a growing pain to try to, like, as you've worked into more of like a harder side, I suppose, to like make connections within that world? Because it's cool. Like, I mean, I just build you on like a folk bill, which is cool because I think you can kind of fit in that world, but you can also kind of fit in like a hard, like I could definitely see you playing with bands as well. Yeah. Like, have you had to grow connections within that world?
Yeah, I mean, I like kind of just started, so I haven't even had, I don't like, I would love to do that. Like, I think I want to do both, like, you know, just like get in front of everything. And that's kind of like, I feel like that's good for me to be in a place where I can like fit in more spots for people to like find my music or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess I haven't really tried too hard yet in that because I just started. But
yeah, that makes sense.
More on that later.
Yeah. It's cool to catch you like this early into like you kind of rolling out new music and stuff. Because I think when I saw you live, I'd assumed you'd been kind of putting stuff out a lot longer than you had, and then I got to like kind of backtrack and realize that like this really seems to be like a newer project. Yeah, which is cool. Since you've kind of like embraced things with a new mindset now, does it feel more exciting or anxiety provoking? Does everything feel new in a way because you're kind of like looking at it with a whole new soundscape and a whole new like idea of who you are?
Yeah, I feel like it feels new, and that comes with like its own challenges, but it feels right, and it feels like really fun because it feels very like me, very right, and like getting to like actually do it, you know, how I always like wanted to kind of but never did. Like I feel like I always chased like the producing and the business side, or like working in that sense, and this feels like the most like me now. So yeah, that's got to be so gratifying to like have had that part of you that wanted to come out, and then now that you've like allowed yourself to kind of express it more, I would imagine that's got to be super gratifying. It's fun, but I also feel like too, like it's like the timing of it was just because like I feel like more comfortable and I feel like more ready now to do it too. It's like, it's not like I was like holding anything back or whatever, but it just feels like now like it all makes sense, and like this is like where I'm supposed to be, kind of thing.
Why do you think that is? Like what do you think changed that kind of allowed you to become more comfortable in expressing yourself in the way that you thought was the most honest?
I feel like living here was like cool because you get to see like other people doing it, and you're kind of like, like finding yourself type shit. Yeah. But also like all of like my close friends and my girlfriend like are super inspiring, and like we all kind of push each other to like, you know, like having, I'm sure like you guys experience this too, like just like talking shit out, like, and just like having close friends who are also creative and unique, and just like building each other up and like showing you like music and like ideas, and just I feel like it's all very kind of like a natural build in that sense.
Yeah, that's like life-changing stuff. I think when I moved to LA, I wasn't even like fully comprehending the amount of people I'd be around on a daily basis that are just within this in any capacity. Yeah, because like they don't even have to be friends. Like you can just go to like a restaurant one day and like you're sitting next to another musician for no reason. Like things like that, I don't even think before I moved here I comprehended how much that would change my mindset. Yeah. You know, but it is it was interesting though, because I think I moved here and had no sense of balance. Like it was just music all the time, 24/7, 365, and I never really figured out like what does the life look like. You know, it was just like, let me do music shit 24/7, which, you know, I think can burn you out pretty fast.
For sure.
We were talking before, you just moved up to the mountains. Is that kind of escaping the LA hustle and bustle, I suppose you could say, kind of escaping that? How's that been for you? Like, has it changed your mindset? Have you felt more like less, I don't know, just on 10 24/7?
Yeah, I love it, honestly. Like, it's really nice out there. It's a lot more calm and relaxing, and it feels like, you know, me and Hannah, we've always been like, oh yeah, one day, excuse me, we'll live in the mountains, like, you know, like we'll do it, like,
yeah.
But then it's like, oh, it's like, why don't we just fucking like do it now?
Yeah,
like fuck it.
How old are you guys?
24.
Okay, nice.
25. But yeah, so it's been really nice, and I think like it's been easy to focus on things and less noise. That's like kind of obvious, but then like also I feel like learning, for me personally, I was like, oh, like, you know, like life is an adventure, and like if you like if you're telling yourself, oh, I want to live like in Italy on a farm one day, it's like,
do it.
Like, yeah, you know, like, well, like, what are you waiting for, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, because shit's more possible than you think, and especially now, like I'm like privileged, like I get to work on my computer and shit, and there's like Zoom, so I don't have to drive anywhere. But like, it's like the future. You can live like you don't necessarily need to live in whatever city to do what you need to do. So I think taking advantage of that has been fun. It's been an adventure.
I think it's good that you took advantage of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just don't. I think a lot of people will just stay wherever their company or wherever their, you know, career is based forever.
Yeah.
It's just weird growing up in the Bay Area, because San Francisco saw that, I think, before the rest of the country. Like, everybody in the city works in tech. So it was like, there was, I think when I was growing up, there was a huge like population it just felt different in San Francisco. It felt like a gigantic bustling city. But now in later years, it's been interesting to kind of watch all these people who work in tech live in different places, but their offices are based in San Francisco. So it's like half the population of San Francisco lives in Oregon. It was weird to kind of watch that happen. But I do think it is the future, you know? And I would imagine being out there like allows you to kind of, I don't know, I think if I were there, it probably would feel a lot less fast, which I think would be cool.
Yeah. I feel like our generation is like the small town revolution. Like,
yeah, dude, prices
going up, and you know, whatever they say in this economy, you know, like, but then the small towns you know, everyone thought it was so sick to live in the big cities. It's like, well, maybe move back and fucking remote in and save money and live slower, live simpler.
The fires made me think about that a lot, because I was thinking about how like everybody in I mean like forget LA, like think about New York, like how on top of each other everybody lives in that city. Like I felt that with LA, and I was just thinking about like how many people live here. There's just so much going on 24/7, 365, and there's something beautiful about that, but it can also become very overwhelming and like all-encompassing in a way that I don't know if it's like good for us, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's like what made us think about it too, is the fires. Like,
really?
Like, shit, like like, do we, like, we could live somewhere else right now, you know?
Was that what sparked it?
Yeah, it really was.
Damn.
Because we were living in Glendale in a really like sweet house, expensive ass sweet house.
So you guys are pretty close then, because like Glendale is not that far from like the Eaton fire and stuff, right?
Yeah, like we were right on the edge of like, do we need to evacuate or not? We did, because it was like just like so nasty outside, like dark gray, and then we just like, we could live like in the mountains, like whatever, and then we just like did it. It was like, really so odd.
Sick. Was it easy to find a place out there?
It wasn't that bad. Yeah, it wasn't hard. I mean, like, it's a lot of driving, you know, like a tour like here and there, like every weekend. But no, it really wasn't that bad, and it's like, it's been sick.
Yeah. Have you met any other musicians out there? What's like the town you're living in? Like, what's it like? Is it like town? Is it very like, is it like mountain town vibes, or like?
Yeah, it's like, it's a crazy, weird, cool, odd experience. Like, like,
does it have a bunch of like locals that have always been from there?
Yeah,
interesting.
It's a very small town, and like the great thing about it is like it's small and there's nothing, but then like there like is a really good market.
Cool.
Shout out Goodwin and Sons.
Shout out.
And
they're gonna
like,
watch this.
There's a good market and there's a good coffee shop. Like, you can get your same like $8 coffee, and you can like get your organic shit. Or whatever. And then like there's like one, like the Bear Claw Saloon.
Nice.
It's like one little saloon and like little spots, and it's just like, it's like stuck. It feels like it kind of reminds me of like my childhood. Like everything is like 15 years like back.
Interesting.
Like, everything's
in what
stuck
way?
in time. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it just feels like kind of old, like and less like modern feeling. I don't know, like all like there's a bowling alley there, and it's like literally like hasn't been like touched since like the 80s.
Whoa.
With like the classic like nostalgic ass vibes, and like all like the little signs
the
on
carpets
the wall
that smell like carpets.
Yeah, like all that shit. It's like it just like brings you right back, at least for me. It's hard to explain it, but
it's like a core video, you know, like have you seen those TikTok videos where it's like like 2000s core things?
Yeah, like literally like it's like living like that. But yeah, it's been fun.
I kind of envy it, bro. I think that's really cool. I think a lot of people would envy it, but they're just too intimidated to make the jump.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I don't think it's like for everyone, and like there's definitely a value of being like, if you live in LA and you're pursuing something, or New York, yeah, like it's obviously easier to not be like 2 hours from everything.
Yeah.
But if you can handle it, and if you don't get lonely easily, like fuck it.
Yeah. Do you like driving? I think that would make it.
Yeah, I don't really care about driving.
Yeah. So. I was gonna say if you don't like driving, it'd probably be a lot harder. But how have you kind of like how has your perspective on it changed since you moved there prior to you moving there? Like, was it what you expected? Was it different? And do you think you want to stay there long term after being there for a little bit now?
That's a good question. I don't know if we're gonna stay there. Like, we don't really know. We're like we don't even know. Cause like if we could move to the mountains, like. We could go fucking anywhere.
Italy, yeah.
Yeah, we could go to Italy, or like maybe upstate New York, or like fucking come right back to LA. Like, who knows? But yeah, it's like I was worried about the drive, and then like like all the things I was like worried about, like, you know, like it's that you could think of were like, oh, it's fine. Yeah. But then there's like other random shit, like, oh, like in the mountains, like they just like will shut your power off. Like,
what do you mean?
Because
why?
like if there's like high winds or whatever, it's like
fires?
They want to prevent fires, or like they'll just like shut your power off, or like the plumbing is like 100 years old in our house, and so it like just broke, and we have to get it fit. Like there's just like it's like a little harder out there.
Yeah.
Like, and that I wasn't expecting, but like the stuff that I was like expecting to worry about, like really like was underwhelming. Like it was like, oh, it's fine. You know?
I almost feel like there's something valuable about that though, about it being a bit more difficult. I feel like I think about this all the time with like Amazon culture, bro. It's like we, whenever we want, can go on Amazon and like I did it an hour ago. My camera battery broke, or I lost it, I mean. So I went on my phone and I ordered one, and it's gonna be here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I don't know if that's like healthy, like I don't know if that's like good for my brain, you know, like it like I didn't have to work for that camera battery at all. I just had $40 and I said, Amazon, it'll be here tomorrow. That feels a little bad.
Yeah, I feel that the instant gratification. I will say we didn't think about that. Yeah. And then once we were like, you know, like, oh shit, like we don't have a mailbox at our house.
Oh, so there's like
we had to go get a PO box. Oh. And then they were like, oh yeah, your Amazon, like you need to like get everything shipped to the post office. Oh. And for a minute we were like, this fucking, like it was like the first day we moved, we were like, are you fucking like serious? Like
I can't get my treats.
But then like we saw the Amazon trucks came, so we're like, oh thank God. but yeah, we almost like for a second we were like, oh, we're gonna have to live without that.
It's cool because it feels like it's a thing that like people will do once they've settled down, even though they could do it when they're still in their 20s. Like I could probably like, you know, like it's probably going to be cheaper if I went and did that. Like, I could probably do that right now, but it's like there's something very intimidating about it. So I think it's really cool making that jump, because not only making the jump from Florida to LA, I'm sure was a lot, but then jumping from LA to the mountains, crazy way to say that. But doing all that, how do you feel like it changed your mindset in terms of your music? Like moving out there a little bit, has songwriting felt different out there? Has it changed the way that you work? And how has it kind of felt making music there versus making music in the congestion of LA?
Well, I feel like it's made everything more intentional. Like in the sense of like, my big thing is like I can do a lot. Like I can produce this, that, and like, so I've always been kind of spreading myself thin, not focusing on exactly like whatever, and like working with this person, that person, and that. And like once you live like 2 hours away, it's like you have to be more intentional. Like it's like, okay, I had my first session up there like a week ago, and it's like,
Somebody drove up for you?
Yeah, like
Cool.
someone drives up to work with you. It's like they're gonna stay the night, and you're gonna, instead of having one off like LA session where you like have a session with a stranger for 3 hours and you like duke it out and then leave.
Yeah.
It's like
It's kind of transactional almost.
Yeah, like kind of is like, you know, like if you're gonna come up here, like we're gonna really do it. Like it's just more intentional. So I feel like it's been good in that sense. Like it's made it easier to focus on what's important.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Hannah too. She's like, you know, oh, I could like go shoot this artist like one off, but like I have to do all this extra driving and stuff. So like maybe I only take the stuff I really want to do and like that type of thing.
Or a couple shoots in a day or whatever.
Yeah. So you kind of like, you just have to be more intentional about things, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy, damn, his name's escaping me. I don't remember. But there's a guy in the high desert, like Palmdale area. Damn it, Mario, I don't know if you know his name, but he's a producer. He did like the Last Grave Secrets record. He worked with Bed. I can't remember. Anyway, he's like this producer in the high desert, and he owns a house out there. I think he lives there. And the guy does essentially what you're describing. He has bands out there, and he'll record them and do their whole project. But like it's similar thing, like almost destination studio kind of thing, where like they'll stay a couple days, and he'll record with them in that way. I would imagine that, because I've heard a lot of stories about things like that too on the podcast, and I would imagine that makes you meet the person in a much realer way. Yeah. Like the whole session dating thing is cool, but it can kind of turn art into something that isn't as, I don't know, like as high stakes in a way, which I think you might lose a little bit. I remember a story from my friend Estelle when we had her on the show. She was talking about on tour, she went and stayed with like a friend of a friend in like somewhere in Arizona or something. And she was saying she was like in a terrible mood that day, but like she went to this guy's house and never met her, or had never met him. And he could tell that she was in like a bad mood. And he kind of just said like, yo, like the basement, like my laptop's down there. You know, we have a full studio down there. Just go like vent your shit. Just get it out. And she said she stayed there for 2 days and she felt closer with that person than any session she'd ever had.
Wow.
And I thought that was cool. Really powerful. So I would imagine like having people come up to record and them staying with you. It's not just like, let's work on a song and then leave. It's like, we're going to eat dinner together. Like we're going to hang out.
It's like a totally different thing. Absolutely. And and like I've also kind of had that idea for a while too, like, and obviously it's like not an original idea, but yeah, which is like definitely was part of like the reason we wanted to do that too, like moving out there, like, and I've had like really good experiences with that too. My friend Felly like just recorded his album, and like we all went out to like the studio in Texas and like stayed out there for a week, and it's just like, you just become like a little family for a week, and it's like, yeah, I feel like that's how you get the best shit done. I
mean, there's so many great projects that I think come from that ethos. Like you mentioned Bon Iver. I think Forever Go is like one of the best examples of this, where like he's just by himself in a cabin in Wisconsin, snowed in, and just happens to make a generation-defining album. Yeah. Like it's things like that, because I think so much, I mean, I feel this way very strongly. I think you can almost always audibly tell where somebody was when they wrote something, when it's in the demo form. I think like generally like everything that you're feeling in the studio that day affects how the music comes out, be it your mood, the energy in the room, how close you are with the people, you know, like where you were the day before, like if you're tired or not. Like all these things affect the music in a way that is almost like a little intangible, but I think it comes across in ways that are bigger than, you know, maybe it seems originally. So I would imagine being out there and having like a producer or a songwriter or an artist come out and you're working with them, it's probably a whole different relationship.
Yeah, it totally is. That's not, and also though too, like with the experience thing, like that's also not to say that you can't make something great, like, because that's like kind of like how like some of the best shit gets made is like literally like I have 30 minutes,
flash
like let me open my fucking GarageBand. Like, that's also like really sick too. I think it can all happen, but yeah, I personally really like the intentional like retreat vibe. It feels like, it's really fun.
Has it affected the sonics at all? Like, have you found yourself gravitating towards different sounds when you've been out there?
I really haven't even had too much time yet.
You've only been there for like a month, you said?
Yeah, okay. and like the second week, like we moved in, like our whole like fucking like plumbing broke and shit. So I had to like unpack my studio and I just had my first session last week. And so I've barely had time, but this weekend is like the first. the first weekend.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
That's exciting, bro.
Sessions.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, but I think one thing that I find really cool about your music is like not only the mix of genres, but the way the genres kind of contrast and stuff. And I wasn't sure if you just played a lot of the stuff harder live originally when I'd listened, because I'd seen you live first, and then I went back and listened to the recorded stuff. I wasn't sure if you just played it live or not. But as you've kind of moved into this new, like a lot of the new music, has it translated live in the way that you thought it was going to? Has it been harder than what you thought it was going to be? Because like I would imagine it at least from what I've heard, it seems like it comes across a lot harder when you play it live.
Yeah, I mean, so out of all the songs that are out right now, we only played 2.
Gotcha.
And Speak was one we played, and that song is about how we did it live. Like, it gets really heavy at the end, and then I Know That You Wouldn't is more of like kind of like this like
I really love
bedroom.
that song, dude.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But like it's super like that song was like kind of like fun to do live because we had to fully rework it. Like if you know the live video, it's like it is a lot like heavier and like it's like a different song.
Yeah, that second half gets yeah,
which I love, but like the new stuff is kind of similar to how we play it live. Like it's like it's just heavier like in general and on the recording too.
Was that intentional, or did you kind of just did you go into it with that mindset, or did you just play it live with the band, and when you were writing the live parts it just kind of ended up that way?
With I Know That You Wouldn't. I feel like it actually, it was intentional because I was like, I knew I wanted to do it like the live video, and I was like, how the fuck like are we gonna do this live video? It's like it's like a bedroom pop song. Yeah. And then I was like playing around with like the guitar tones, and then kind of found like the drone, and then I was like, okay, and then everyone else did their thing, and it just kind of formed into its own. So I guess it was slightly intentional, slightly not, but more intentional than it might seem.
Yeah. What was the live video always one of the plans for marketing it? Because it's such a cool way, dude. It gave the same. This is probably like I'm sorry if this comparison annoys you, but it definitely made me feel the way that the Dijon live session feels, like where it's just like kind of one shot and like handheld the whole time. At least it seemed that way.
No, I love that video. I fuck with that. That's a
cool.
compliment. Yeah.
Cool.
But that's like I wanted it to be like that too, like very like just raw, like one cameraman, and also like I didn't have like a bunch of money to spend on it. So,
yeah.
Like that was like our living room and shit. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we just like did up our whole house to be like a studio for one day.
Yeah. Ironically, I actually feel like through content like that, you actually learn a lot more about the artist than I think you do from short form sometimes. Whereas as like something like that, I think the emotion comes through in a much clearer way. It's a lot more like it gives you a bigger picture of them. It doesn't feel as like we went to this very specific place to shoot this very specific TikTok. Yeah, it feels a lot more like you're getting the entire picture of the artist.
Well, yeah, because it's like it's like kind of a piece of work in itself. Like it's not just like you trying to conform with like whatever might be trending or like what you think like your like Instagram might do something good with it. It's like this. We just like wanted I just wanted to do that, and then I was like, you guys want to do this? And it's like I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, and it's like sick, and it came out really good, and it only has 300 views. That's fine, but we'll get there.
Hopefully we'll get some more.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like people do watch it, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, of course. I'm curious about that, coming from the producer world and then going more so into the artist project world. And like obviously, like when you're pursuing an artist project actively, there's certain things you have to do to market yourself that are very different than a producer. Yeah, you're almost selling yourself as a business as a producer, and you're selling yourself as an artist when you're making an artist project. Were there any like growing pains in terms of like how you have had to learn how to like market yourself as a independent artist, as like somebody who's pursuing an artist project, and how different that is than marketing yourself as a producer? Like, have you had to like grapple with like, do I make the TikToks or do I do live sessions or all that stuff?
Yeah, I think just like putting like I feel like part of it is just like getting comfortable with like putting yourself out there in a vulnerable way. That's like very cliche, but it's really true. Like especially being like a producer, you just like make the songs and like I'm a producer and like I'm whatever. But no, with like the artist, it's like you literally like are the full image of everything. Yeah. So that was, I feel like part of me was like insecure to like do that at first, and then I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it. And then like the second thing, which is like TikTok.
Yeah.
Which I'm like in a better place with it now. But
where were you originally with it?
I just like didn't want to do it, and I thought it was really lame. And I still think sometimes it's lame, but I don't mind doing it now. And kind of what I just do is like make stuff that I think is fun.
Yeah.
And kind of like me and Hannah shot this music video, and for my new song Carrie.
Was that kind of the camcorder one?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like we filmed it on a little digital camera, and like it was like for TikTok, Instagram, like to promote the song, like very like utilitarianly, but also it was just really fun to make. So I feel like that's kind of like the pocket I'm gonna sit in, is just like do stuff that I want to make that I think is cool, and like post it and not be too like just like be organic with it, not try to like do something just because I think like this is what people want to see, or like to do like that, because I mean to an extent I think that is kind of like it's just not me.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's interesting. I think about this a lot, and I think it's all about your mindset with it. I think like having that mindset that you have, where it's like just kind of changing the framework to like just focus on what feels good to you. There's a lot of beauty in that, and I think ironically that translates better a lot of the time. Actually, I think people sometimes get so wrapped up in like the specific algorithmic things that happen within TikToks, or like, if I clip this video in this way, it will do better. If I use these hashtags, it'll do better. And like, ironically, I think people are very, very like sensitive to that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think people like the analogy I always use is like scroll your TikTok for like 20 minutes and realize how quickly you scroll past something that feels like an ad. Like our radar for that shit is just so high. Like I know instantly when I'm being sold something. It just there's a feeling to it. So I think like a lot of people will go in that way and they'll try to sell themselves, but ironically, like not selling yourself is the best way to sell yourself sometimes.
Totally feel that. That's like super. Couldn't have said it better.
I also think like I don't know, like I think just changing the mindset in terms of like how you think about the platform has helped me with it, because like I don't know, somebody said this to me one time and it really stuck with me. Like I do feel like when you start to think about it, like TikTok is really just vertical YouTube if you make it. That's like all it really has to be. Like it's just like another platform to throw something on. Like you get to choose what you're putting on there. If you like it and you think it's artistic and you think it's sick, there's no need to like cater it to what you think might do better algorithmically. I think it's just about like accepting that like it's almost like another means to translate your ideas, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like even the people like there's plenty of like artists who make like that type of stuff that maybe could sound like we're criticizing right now. But I've met some of the people who, you know, artists who like do that type of stuff, like very like
tasteful,
kind of Instagram or TikTok influencer heavy, but like that's just like that's also like who they are. Like they just like want to put like that, like their happy vibes out there, and that's like that's cool. Like, and it works for them. What doesn't work, I feel like, is like just trying to do that, like seeing something and trying to replicate it. I don't think that's gonna do anyone good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest through line through all that is just like being yourself. I think like a lot of people on social media will try to be somebody they're not. And I think as long as you're being yourself, as long as it's authentic and you think it's sick, then I think that is like the baseline premise that you need to, you know, abide by. I feel like the second, like you said, you're kind of just trying to copy whatever you think will algorithmically do well, people are just so aware of it. They sniff it out instantly, you know?
Absolutely.
You mentioned that it was difficult to kind of be the face of something, and I've always thought about that when I've talked to producers that have become or that have like started to pursue artist projects, and I feel like a lot of them feel that way. As a drummer, I can say this, I'm not shitting on drummers, but in a way it feels akin to drumming in a band, where like as a drummer, and again, I'm not shitting on drummers, I'm a drummer, but like it's nice performing as a drummer because you can kind of like be in the back and hide a little bit behind your kit, which is really nice. I think it's a lot less intimidating than being the face of something. As you've kind of begun to pursue this artist project more seriously and kind of moved away from the producing stuff, how have you gotten better at like being the face of it? Like how have you gotten to a place where you're feeling more secure with yourself? And also like this is I guess two questions in one, but I want to ask about the singing too, because I imagine you weren't singing a ton as a producer unless you were like layering vocals and things, but like did you have to develop your own style of singing? Was that something you were always doing?
Well, I was in a band in like high school and stuff, and I am like a singer.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
I've been a singer, and like while I didn't sing as much in like being a producer, like that's always been a part of me.
Yeah.
And the same with like performing. That's always like, that's been always very like easy for me, because just from repetition. And I think it just like, I just had to learn. I feel like just repetition and exposure is like how, because for me it's like I just wasn't used to like promoting my music. Like I would literally drop a song and like post once about it, and it's just like anything else felt super weird. And I just think it just, exactly, it just takes like repetition to get comfortable with it. And that's kind of like that. I feel like it's very simple, just like do it more, and then eventually won't feel like super weird.
That's fair. That totally makes sense. It's almost like exposure therapy, because it's weird sometimes. Something that feels so unnatural in the beginning, if you just do it enough, it can feel totally normal. I think you really have to let go of what, like, the fear of what people may think about you. I think that's a really hard thing to do. I don't know, I feel like even in what I do, I think for a long time I had that, like, I was very afraid of like what my peers would think about me, you know, what people in school would think about me. But I think like doing it for so many years now, I've got to a place where like that doesn't even cross my mind, and it's more so excitement about like what they may think about it, what they, you know,
that's cool,
because I like it.
That's good for you, because I definitely still like.
Really?
Like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that in like comparison.
No. I'm saying like I feel that too. Like paradoxically, like I feel like super confident about things, and then I can just instantly be like I feel, and I think it comes from a good place of just wanting everything to be as good as it can be. But but yeah, I'm definitely like still can slip into that and be like, oh my gosh, like. One person that just unfollowed me, like, fuck.
They hated it.
But I'm sure like it's just part of doing it.
Did you have that feeling as a producer with working on like other people's projects,
like insecurity kind of vibes? I don't like, I think like moving to LA too was like, because I was kind of like in Florida, I was like the one person or like one of few people who could like do certain things, and like so I kind of always felt like I didn't feel like I was like, I felt good about myself. And I always felt good about myself. But once you start getting into the realm of like working with better artists, it's like, you know, you're having sessions with them, but then they're going and working on the same song with like bigger producers and like other things, and it's like kind of like a fight to like be a part of like the record or something. That can get pretty like intimidating if you're not used to it. But I feel like you just, which is also partly like why I was like, why am I doing this shit? I just want to like work on my own stuff. You know? Like to an extent. So.
That makes sense. I mean, what do they say? They say comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think in whatever you do, especially in artistic fields, it just becomes so easy to compare yourself to whoever's around you. And then you know, like there's so much context that lacks though. Like it lacks the context of like your journey and like how you got there. It's a very easy thing to do, but I think it's a very like silly thing to do at the end of the day when you begin to actually think about it. 'Cause it's like everybody's journey is totally different. How everybody got to where they got is a totally different process. So it's like to compare yourself to another person, it's easy, but it doesn't make a ton of sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's easy to quantify shit. Like, you know, like everything, we love to convert things to numbers and followers and monthly listeners and who signed to what and like whatever. But like, it's art and like personal journey is very not that. It's like kind of the opposite of that. And like if you're chasing that too, like in art, like you're just like, you're literally like running backwards. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like you just need to find like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to go about it that way. But it's hard not to, because it's like ambition versus like actually trying to make good stuff. You know?
And then it's like, well, I mean, I think about this a lot. Like we are the first era of people within art that have like, well, I guess like not really, but like to this degree, we are the first era to have metrics determine what happens to us as artists, like really like ever, like not like obviously like, you know, people's record sales have always mattered, but now it's to this degree where it's like you don't have to have one number, you got to have like 10 different numbers, and they all got to be high, and if they're not high, the gatekeepers are not going to allow you into their circles. It's just like, and I don't mean that in the sense of like musicians, I mean in the sense of like the industry and like labels and stuff. So it's now, I think it becomes even easier to quantify or not quantify, but like validate yourself based on the presence or non-presence of numbers. You know, it can get so easy because like literally for a lot of people, the more numbers mean the more financial success.
Yeah.
So it gets easy to do that, I think.
I think artists, like, not to contradict what you're saying, I think what you're saying is valid, but I think artists have
totally
always
had
to like compromise. Like there was never a time in history like when artists like weren't being severely limited by whatever it was, like, because we look at like fucking like painters in like the 18th century or whatever. Is it like Michelangelo? Right, he painted like the brain picture, like painting or whatever. And like if you think about that, like the only way for him to make his living and to have the outlet to paint that beautiful work of art that we see now is like, oh my god, it's legendary. But it's like
someone's got to buy it.
The church, like he had to paint that for the church, who's like the only like entity who could afford that to commission that painting. And like he still had to literally like pretend like it was like a church painting, even though it's like kind of like a rebellion against that. And I think like that's like a perfect example of like that's kind of like drawing a similar comparison to that and like what you have to do now as an artist. I feel like it's important to have that perspective because it's easy to think like, oh, like, damn, man, I wish I was like in the 70s, like we wouldn't have to post on TikTok. I was
born in the wrong generation.
It's like, bro, like, there was always something that was stopping people, and so it's just best to to work within what you're given in
that's
whatever period you're in.
That's really well said. Like there was always something that was stopping people. That's very true. I think like everybody, and this extends far past art, but I think like anybody who's done something really, really great that's gone to change something has had to break down those walls. Whatever those are for you is, that's a whole different conversation. But everybody has their version of that in every career path. It's just a matter of like identifying it and then figuring out how you're gonna get around it, I think. I actually think like, I mean, to be fair, like I think the internet actually has made music more accessible to more people, which I think is actually a good thing for all artists. I think like I think a lot of people like get upset at the fact that it's this accessible now because like, oh, everybody's a musician, whatever. But I think it's actually a good thing for everybody because I think it allows you to learn from a lot more people and like gather a lot more perspective and like figure out like, okay, this artist is doing this, I like this, maybe I'll take this, but I won't take this. I think it's easy to shit on the idea that like everybody's making music now, but I think it's a good thing for all artists for sure.
It's great. I think it's like easier than it ever has been. Definitely less barrier of entry, but pros and cons to that. Of course. But I think that's an overall good thing too. Like I've seen people like go from fucking nothing, like being like so broke, to like actually getting success and being able to live and do music and stuff from just because like they had literally like dropping music, like rough mixes, like from like they spent like all their money saved up on like a studio session, dropped the music on SoundCloud from their phone, like they don't even have a computer to upload it, and then like they made it work. Like there's this just like if you just drop the excuses and do it, like it's an overall good thing that it's very accessible.
That's got to be such a scary thing to happen to somebody. Like one moment you're like you found no success, and the next moment you find everything. And I think that like, I mean, that's always existed, but it's never been exacerbated to this degree. Like you could quite literally post one video and you could have a $200,000 record deal tomorrow. Like that's terrifying, but at the same time it's very exciting. It kind of I think it's almost like a drug. It's like the same thing as like playing the lottery. That's like that. I effectively feel like that's what you're doing when you're posting on TikTok every single day. It's like you're just kind of playing the lottery, and it's like you keep going because one day something could just change everything. And I do think ultimately that's a cool thing. What I was curious, as you begin to roll all this new stuff out, is the overwhelming emotion that comes with it more tied to anxiety or more tied to excitement? Like, what do you think are the most exciting parts about rolling out this new music, and what are the scariest parts about it?
I'm really excited because I feel really good about it, and I've been having like a lot more attention to it, and like it just feels like it's going well so far, even though like nothing's out yet. So it's exciting. I feel like it is a little anxiety producing because I feel like I'm starting something and I don't want to fuck anything up, like and like people like getting some attention and whatever, and just like making sure I make the right moves, even though I'm like so small like of an artist still. But yeah, I think mostly excitement though. I'm just really excited, and that outweighs the
anxiety of it,
scary part.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I think like having that feeling of the unknown, it can produce both emotions like pretty plentifully.
Yeah,
like because I don't know, dude, it's just like it's scary, like kind of transitioning and really putting yourself out there. It's a lot.
Yeah, and making the decision too, because I feel like I've coast. It's easy to coast and like do your thing.
Yeah, but
now it's like kind of taking the leap of faith and like. Because no one's gonna like, I mean, I guess people will tell you like, yo man, your shit's good, like you should put it out. But like, I don't know, like no one's gonna ask you to like be an artist. You kind of have to like, or like anything else, you know, that's like that. But so in that sense, that's like scary, because you have to like go out on a limb. Yeah. And you have to like, you have to pretend like your shit's together, and you know you got this shit, and like just like do it. You know, even though there's no like history to back it up, you know. So that's like, that part is scary, but
you almost have to pretend a little bit.
Yeah,
but
like,
I don't even think that's like I don't think it's pretending in a bad way.
Yeah, I think it's faith, like not like pretending, but just like sure. I'm like, I just have to like believe that I got this, and then like say I got it, and like hopefully I do. Yeah,
my friend McLean always calls it. We talk about this a lot, and he always calls it delusional self-belief, which I think is a good way to put it. I think it's like, I think it's a really important part about being an artist. Actually, is like having that innate sense of like what you like and what you do not. I suppose that's just taste, but I think like having like a really, really, really defined sense of like, I'm going to do this because I love it, and like I like this. Whatever the perception of it is in the ether, and that's just like up to interpretation at that point. But it's like having that sense of self, you know. It's like knowing that like I'm gonna do this because I want to do it first, and just like knowing yourself, you know. That's hard, but I think that's like a really important part about being an artist. It's like that self-belief, that self-trust, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's like why, like, you know, not to speak negatively, but just like artists can be like divas, you know, like or just being an asshole or whatever. Like you hear all these stories. Like I'm always like surprised when people are surprised, because I'm like, well, maybe it's like not obvious, like you think everyone's like normal, but like to be like an artist, I feel like a lot of times like the type of personality it requires to do that right, like can oftentimes be someone who's like a complete like jerk, because they're just so like focused on their shit, and like it's kind of like self-centered and whatnot, but like that's like kind of like why they're killing it.
Know? I totally agree with that. I think that's like a massive part of it. I think another big part of it, and I think about like I always say this, but I think artists are very often hurt people, because I think hurt people find an artistic outlet in whatever they're making, and that can make them feel a lot less hurt. But the unfortunate reality as well is that hurt people tend to hurt people. So I think when you have this cesspool of people who like by virtue of their career sort of have to be a little bit of a narcissist, like not to say make music makes you a narcissist, but like you got to have that sense of like I can do this, that individualism. It's like when you combine that with the fact that a lot of artists have gone through a lot of trauma, I think it can create this cesspool where a lot of musicians sometimes can be questionable people morally.
Yeah, that's so true, but also that's what makes it so fun too. Like because people are just so like individualists, like, which I think is really cool. I think I misinterpreted that a lot when I moved to LA first, because I think I come from a very like social background, and I think it became easy for me to like perceive people's anxiety as rudeness, like which I think is an easy thing to do, where it's like, no, that person isn't, you know, they're not being a dick, they're just like anxious, like they're just scared to talk to you. Like that doesn't make them an asshole. It just means they have anxiety, or it just means like they have trouble putting themselves out there. It gets easy, I think, to mix up those perceptions a lot, especially in music, dude, because there's such a weird egoism that hangs over all this, where it's like a lot of every artist wants to be the best, you know. Absolutely.
Coming from like a collaborative background as a producer, like growing a network in that way, and like working, you know, like being a producer is such a collaborative role. Like you essentially need to be you have to be like a great musician, but also a great listener, and almost like a therapist at times, which I think is a very, very important skill. But obviously having that, being a producer for so long, and like having that ability to bring that out of people, how do you think that's changed the way that you've gone into writing your own music?
That's a good question. I feel like it's like, yeah, it's like totally different, you know, like, because you just, for me, it was like learning how to just like, instead of not relying, like, obviously I had my taste, but like there's always kind of that check and balance of like, yeah, you think this is cool?
Yeah.
Like, you fuck with this? Like, is this what you're looking for?
Yeah.
And then like kind of not having that.
You're providing a service in a way.
Yeah. So as an artist, you don't get to like turn around and ask and be like, oh, okay, you think this is cool? Great. Then it's probably good. Like, it's like, it's so
you gotta know.
It's like looking in the mirror and being like, does this look good? Like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like totally different, a totally different approach. So yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that looking in the mirror analogy feels perfect.
Yeah.
And then it's also like the thing where it's like, all right, like I can bounce this on a Wednesday and maybe I'll like it. But then on the Thursday, maybe I'll hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I can listen to it in my headphones and maybe I'll like it. I can bump it in the car and maybe I'll hate it, you know?
Exactly.
Do you do you feel like you're a perfectionist because you come from a production background? Or do you feel like it's easy for you to let go of ideas if they don't feel right?
I feel like I'm a perfectionist, not from my production background.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think like actually like from like a mixing and production standpoint, I'm like weirdly almost less careful with my own music. But then like I'm super like OCD and like kind of like perfectionist about like, is this me? Like, is this the right? Is this like, is this what this is supposed to sound like? Is this good? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I know like the drums are good, like, you know,
yeah,
but I don't know like if it's good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of let go from like when it's for you, you're the only dictator of like what is good and what is not. When it's for somebody else, like it's more cut and dry. Like if they're like, I don't like that snare, you just change the snare.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, it's like a debate about like, do I like that snare? Mm-hmm. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Are you tracking most of the stuff for your stuff for the new project? Are you tracking most of the instruments live, or is a lot of it in the box?
It's all one of the EPs that I have out, like the acoustic one, is completely live tracked, like just like acoustic, like 3 guitars or 2 guitars and a synth. And this project, and I was kind of like obsessed with like live tracking, and I still am. But for this project, like I just loved like keeping it very like not live tracked. Like it sounds live and there's like real drums, real bass, real guitars, guitar amps, like whatever, but it's very like produced, you know, like it's not like live tracked at all.
Yeah.
Like, so no.
Has that made it easier to transit to the live setting or harder?
I feel like it's about the same because like everything still sounds like a band kind of played it, other than I Know That You Wouldn't, because that was like, that song was like super weird to create live.
Sounds super different in the live session.
Yeah,
than
it's like a
recording.
different song. Yeah, so like that's like the oddball, but most of the other ones, like they sound like kind of like a band is playing them.
Yes. Did you when you went into this project, did you know you wanted to play live with a band? Like, was that always the intention?
Yeah, like you're saying, like live performance wise. Yeah, I've always like been in bands and played in bands. It's kind of like what I know.
Yeah.
You know? So that's like always kind of like the starting point.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this is like where we start, and how can we like make it different or weird. But
that makes sense. And you said coming from a live background and a band background, I'm sure that made it a lot less like anxiety provoking to perform some of the stuff. Or is it different because it's your own music?
No, it's so fun to play. I've like always played since I was a little kid. So that like just being in bands, I think is it feels like the most natural out of anything.
Yeah,
it's just like to go up and play.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's definitely like, it feels like that's where you grew up, and like that's a big part of you.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, I
was like a 12-year-old, like playing like small dive bars like my whole life.
You were playing that young?
Yeah. I was like had the guitar was like bigger than me, and like just like I had like the Justin Bieber haircut.
Nice.
Like the bowl. Yeah, just like doing my thing.
How'd you originally learn to get into it? Were your parents into music, or did you find it just like naturally?
I mean, my dad is into music. My mom, she can kind of play the piano, but you know, like so kind of musical family, definitely like very supportive family, and they like love music, and I did this thing called School of Rock.
I know School of Rock. Yeah, one of my best friends is a School of Rock teacher.
Yeah, so I had like music lessons, and that's where I met like kids who like asked me to be in their band, and like I was always kind of the younger kid, and that's like its own weird experience. But yeah, so that's kind of how that all started.
Yeah, I felt the same way as the younger kid. It's actually been strange because I'm 23 now, and I started doing things with music when I was 16, and I moved here when I was 20. So like it's been so strange in the past like year to understand that like I'm meeting people younger than me now. So like because I felt like the youngest in every room, like literally for my entire like career or whatever until like maybe this year. So now it's been strange comprehending like I'm no longer the youngest person in every room. I'm like a pretty average age, I guess, to be pursuing this now.
I feel like I'm like dude, I'm like 24, 23, like 24, and like I'm like I need to get this shit going, you know, like I'm getting old.
I'm over here, dude.
When I was like 10, I was like, yeah, I'll be fucking like killing it when I'm like 16. You know? Like, I'll be like, no, like I'm feeling that. I'm like, all right, like like getting old over here.
Is that scary? Like, do you feel like you dread getting older now a little bit, or is it like exciting?
No, I love getting older is fine. I just feel like being like I do feel a little bit of pressure because I'm like, oh my god, like do people still like blow up when they're like 30?
Yeah.
Like they definitely do.
You're not 30,
but
dude.
No, I'm not there, not even close.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do like in a silly way, kind of like I'm like, dang, I'm already 24.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like an internet thing a lot because I mean, people have always blown up young, but I don't think people have always blown up this young. It's like now you have people blowing up when they're literally 17 years old, like very regularly. That's like no longer a novel age to like be a musician. Like there's a lot of people who are big and like 17 years old. Yeah,
and looking back, like if I blew up, like I'm very thankful that I didn't. Like if I was young, like my young self, like if it got put on blast, like that would be hard to live with. I feel like a lot more like okay, like I have like a sustainable approach now. Like, you know,
But it's interesting because I think like every couple of years you look back and the prior version of you felt so like so young. Like you can look back and be like, that guy knew nothing. Yeah, you know, it's so strange. Like I feel that from like 23 to 20 a lot. Like I feel like when I moved here I didn't know what any of this even was. Like I had no idea how I was gonna make it work or figure it out. It was incredibly nerve-wracking, and now I feel like maybe I have it figured out a bit more, but I'm sure when I'm 26 I'll look back and be like, oh, like 23-year-old Dante had no idea what he was doing. He didn't know like where he was gonna go or how this is gonna shape out. But it's all relative, you know, and I think time can be scary for that reason. But I had a conversation with this artist Hollis Howard on here, and she said something that really stuck with me. She said, or I don't know if she said this or Zach said this, but one of them said that it's better to move backwards than not move at all, and that really stuck with me. Whereas like I mean you were describing it earlier, that coasting, I think as you get older it can become way easier. Like as soon as you kind of figure things out and are a little bit comfortable, you can just sit there for the rest of your life if you really want to. But I think it's far more productive to even move, like quote unquote backwards and like rework yourself and figure out like, oh, like this is where I went wrong, this is what I want to do in the future. That's way better than stagnation. I think stagnation is like the scariest thing is for somebody who's trying to progress. I love that. Like you might as well like fuck up really bad than just like do nothing. Like at least you tried kind of thing. That's sick. I like that. I almost think it's like akin to like, I mean I kind of feel this strongly. I actually like respect music that I dislike, I think sometimes more than things that I just think are really like mid and like not thought-provoking at all. Like where I'll hear something and I'm like, oh, that's okay. I actually like prefer the shit I don't like sometimes because I'm like, at least this provoked like a strong emotion in me. Fuck it. I fuck with that. That's cool. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, I think the worst thing you can be is just like mid. Like, like that's like the worst. Just like be like stagnant, not that's move. The fear. Bro. It's like is the every fear of being mid. Is every middle-aged adult not moving just mid? Like it's scary. I'm terrified of that. What do you I was curious, as you've worked into this new project, the writing on it, when did these songs pour out of you? Not in a time frame wise, but like, do you feel like you're more of an experience-based writer? Like, will you have an experience and then run to your notebook to write about it? Or are you a person who is like going to sit down every single day, make a song, and then pull from prior emotions? When do you feel like the best writing comes out of you?
Yeah, I feel like I have a really odd process.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm definitely not like an experience-based writer. I kind of sometimes really don't love songs that are so specific. Like, I feel like that was kind of like a trend. Like, I feel like Phoebe Bridgers did it like really good, and like
Mm-hmm.
Lizzie McAlpine. But then like that style of writing doesn't really resonate with me, and that's not how I write either. I feel like I write really oddly. Like, I don't write a lot too. Like, if I'm trying to write like a lot, like it'll just like all come out like really shit. So like I feel like it's
forced?
very like inspiration based and very like quick, and it'll come. And I feel like it's kind of a mixture of, obviously my experience like plays into it a lot, but I think it's I think more like less experience and more like just like feeling.
Gotcha.
I guess so. Yeah, because you know, like there's like, I don't know, like Speak is kind of like like not like a heartbreak song, but kind of like a like toxic relationship vibe, or like bad juju in a relationship. But like I've been like in the same relationship for like 7 years, and like it's like not related to my life at all. Like, just for whatever reason, that's like what came out.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. So will those ideas come when you're noodling like around on a guitar, or are they coming more so when like you stop and you have like I suppose I'm asking, like, will the music come first, or will the lyrics come first for you?
I feel like,
because I can't tell with your music because it's so like in both worlds.
Yeah, I think it's like a little bit of both. Actually, like the lyrics don't ever come on their own. I think, actually, no. Like, I feel like either it all comes at once, kind of, or like I'll like kind of write to like something that I'm cooking up, like an instrumental or whatever. Yeah, like the instrumental can come first, but like, or both, but like the lyrics very rarely come first.
Yeah,
for me.
interesting. That makes sense. So you'll go back and kind of fill in the blanks after.
Yeah, like when I write, like, and something starts coming out that I like, I'll like put my phone down and just like freestyle it like instantly, and then like go back and write like every like line that's sick, or like that actually like is a line.
Gotcha.
And try to like start from there. That's like kind of how I've been doing it recently.
That makes sense. So you'll kind of like mumble to it and try to figure out some sense of melody, and then go back and kind of like correct everything as you go.
Yeah, or like just straight up, like I'll like say words, like, and it could mean nothing, but like then it'll be like one line. It's just like, oh, what the like that was sick. Like, and then just write that down, and then like start from there, and like where is the song going, and it kind of like follow it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like that's a very subconscious way of writing, almost, where like you're kind of just trying to like translate whatever's in your brain, even though they're like not thoughts at that point. Just like mumbling the subconscious out, and then going back and figuring out what all that means and deciphering it.
That's literally, that's like a good way to put it. Like subconscious writing, like that's how I would describe it. I very rarely can like go and like write how I'm feeling or whatnot. It usually ends up being like really corny, mid. Mid, as they say. Earlier.
Mid, as Dante says.
Like, and I also like, I will force myself to write. I'm like, dude, like you need to like actually try to like write, and I will write a song and be like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty sick. And like I'll show like my like girlfriend or my best friend like Luke or my brother Jacob, and be like, well, yeah, what do you think? And they're like, like, and I'm just like, oh fuck,
damn,
it's mid. Do
you like when you're bouncing songs around, are those like are there like a few select group of short people, not short people, but like a short list of people that their opinion is gonna like affect how you're writing a lot? Like, do you have a lot of like creative confidants and people that you'll confide in when you have a demo that you're undecided on?
Absolutely. Like I wouldn't say like I like depend on them to like tell me if something's good or not, but like especially for me, like kind of like our conversation earlier, like the producer and artist separation, like I don't have that. So it's really helpful. So like once something is in a certain place, to get like an opinion from someone I trust, and not necessarily like using their opinion and just like going with it, but like using it as a reference point, and then kind of like going from there. And also too, like my friends, my close friends and my brother, like they all like have really good tastes and I trust them a lot. So it's like, you know, like if like all your friends don't like this one song you wrote, like, I don't know, that's like, maybe like there's something there.
Yeah.
I don't know, like if all these people who know you very well, and it's like, okay, like I can kind of use that, I can trust them to give me honest feedback, and like maybe like it's like, fuck it, like no, I think this song is sick.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, oh, maybe this one was like kind of forced and like my identity isn't really in there. And it's like, yeah. So.
I would imagine like playing the producer role for so long, like those things would collide a lot where you don't have that separation. Yeah. Because I actually think like one of the like most important things a producer can do is not like is honestly like artist development. Like I think I just applied for this like A&R job, and he had me like list out like a bunch of producers that I was a fan of and like why I like them, et cetera, et cetera. And I found myself trying to like quantify why I like producers, and a lot of the time it wasn't because of the music they were making, it was because of the way they were developing artists. Yeah. And like I realized that I was like, oh, like this producer played this role in this artist's career and took their sound in this direction, which is effectively like artist development. It's almost like A&Ring, you know? Absolutely. Which I think is like a really, really, really good skill for a producer to have. It's like, what can you bring out of the artist you're working with, you know? Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. And I bet like when you're producing and doing all the songwriting, it's like it can kind of collide where it's not like, what can this producer bring out of me? It's just like solely what can I bring out of myself? Yeah, and then so it's like, yes, use your besties who you trust. Yeah, like they can help you with that. They can give you a good perspective that like, you know, maybe like if you were like sitting in a room with a producer that they would give you. Like that's super helpful. I also think it's so vital to have those people that are going to be so honest with you every single time. Yeah. Like I think it's easy to surround yourself with folks that are just like, oh yeah, this is sick. Like I think it's a lot more valuable to have people around you who are like, this is good for this reason, or like I don't like this for this reason. It's like, you know, empty criticism is just useless. Absolutely. And I think like that helps you grow too, like as an artist, like to hear criticism from people you love, and like specific criticism and like very like concise and to the point, because it's like, you know, the other day like I was showing Hannah a song that's on the new project or something, and she's like, I don't like songs with horns in it, and like there's like saxophones and stuff, and I was like what? But then I was like, some people, you know what, I fuck with these horns. Actually, like it makes you like see like your identity too. Yeah. And like, but like, yeah, like you're like, oh, you don't fuck with this, but like that just tells me that I really actually do fuck with this. Like even if you're not getting like yeses, like it can help you shape like what your specific identity is, because it makes you realize what you're willing to fight for. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Like it's like, you know, like maybe if she critiqued the bass line on that song, you could have been like, oh, you know, maybe you're right, the bass line maybe could use some work. Yeah. But the fact that she critiqued the horns and you were like, oh, I like the horns. Yeah. Like I think that in itself actually can be like proof that it deserves to stay in, because you're willing to fight for it. Mm-hmm. And do you feel like when you're making songs, do you think like from the demo stage to when they're mixed and mastered and finished, like will your songs remain close to kind of the original idea, or do you find that like things that came out of you end up changing tenfold when you're actually ready to put them out? I feel like the demos that I make are like usually like pretty good, because like I don't make like, I'll just like record everything like good and like sound in a sound way, and like so like oftentimes like the demo will be like actually the thing, and just like building on it and polishing it. But then like sometimes they like carry my newest, or like my single that's coming out in like a few weeks was like a shoegaze heavy guitar song, and it was like the heaviest song ever, and I was just like, I don't know if this is it, man. Yeah. And then I was just like playing it in a park one day, like during the fires, we were like in some park, and like I was playing it really soft and singing it really soft, and I was like, oh, this is it. And literally like fully redid the whole song, and like it's like completely different. And then so like I think it could go either way, bro. That feeling is like priceless. That like I saw the lightning feeling of like, oh, like this is how the idea is supposed to be. That's like the biggest high ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be, and it was like before that feeling too with that song. I was like, I don't think I'm putting this one out.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't have that.
So you just changed it and we're playing it softer, and then did that kind of inform the rest of the way the song ended up? Interesting. Yeah. I think playing songs live can do that a lot as well. Like you'll play something live in a certain way and you're like, oh, maybe that's how the record's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
Like I think you could even, it could be as simple as like, I don't know, like a fill, or like, you know, maybe you melodically change something just a tad, and then it can inform a whole new section of the track in a way that originally didn't kind of appear itself, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. But that can also work against you too, because there's this one song I have that's going to be on the EP that like we've always played it live, and it's like so sick and so fun to play live. Like it just like has like the best live groove and stuff. And I was like, okay, like let's just live track it, and like it's just going to be like, you know, the song. Like let's just play it exactly how we do it live, and like, and then on the recording it's like, that's not it.
Didn't feel right.
It's so weird. Like it's like,
what about it?
I don't know. I'm just like, this sounds like just like, no, this isn't it. Like it's not like, it's weird. Like, and then but then sometimes like the opposite happens where like for example, like I play with my friend Felly, and like we went on the road and he would play this unreleased song, and like we kept playing it until he was eventually like, this is the way it's supposed to sound, not like my demo. And then like, so it, you know, it could go either way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It just informs itself eventually. Yeah, that's super interesting. It's cool that like you believe in that feeling so much. Like where you were just like, I don't know why this doesn't feel right, but it doesn't. Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth to that feeling as an artist. I think like sometimes you just gotta like chase whatever feels correct, you know? I think you can really get in a place where you just overthink the details to a point where it's like no one's hearing this, you know?
It's like it doesn't matter how good you're singing it, or like how good the guitar sound, or like just, you know, oh, this song is cool, like it sounds good. It doesn't like that doesn't matter. Like what matters is like, at least what I'm finding is like the feeling behind it, and it's so like abstract. And I feel like you can kind of go crazy like chasing it. But yeah, like if it's in there, you know, and it's like, and then it might not be in there when you sing the song like good, and then like when you decide to like drink a bunch of beer and like whisper into like some shitty microphone, and like then it's all of a sudden it's there, and you're like, well, this actually technically sounds worse, but like that's actually, now it has 100%. The thing in it.
It has emotion.
Or like whatever it is, like who knows? Like, it's just like, what the fuck?
I mean, I say this all the time, but I think you know, this may come from my taste specifically, but I think like all my favorite singers are not very good singers. Like all my favorites, like Conor Oberst is like one of my favorite singers ever, and he's like technically an atrocious singer. Like Brian Seller from the Front Bottoms was like one of my favorite singers ever. He's like not a good technically good singer. Like Bob Dylan's one of my favorite singers, and he's not a good singer by technical margin or whatever. But it's like what like I think they lose in technical ability, they make up for in emotion. Yeah. Which again, I think is like back to my point about shit being mid. I think like I'd rather have somebody's voice not necessarily be like technically sound, but it evokes something in me, you know? Absolutely. I think that's why sometimes like it's almost like a trope. I always like shit on like NAMM culture and like the feeling of like being a really technically good singer, because I think sometimes the better you are doing things traditionally, the less emotions coming out of it, the less it is you know? Absolutely. Yeah, I totally feel that. And I feel like I've also like that's kind of like, I feel like I've been finding my way a lot in that, is like most of the new stuff is like I sing it really quietly and like weirdly and shit. And also that goes for like my guitar playing too. Like I never was like the best guitar player, like shred wise, you know, like I couldn't play as fast as anyone else. I couldn't like, I don't know, like, but like I feel like finding like your voice like in whatever you do is more important than like being like technically good, because like what's good, like just like, oh, I don't like like just like, you know, oh, I can like fucking hit this fucking string like 100 times in 1 minute, like doesn't mean that
I want to listen to it.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. I know my scales doesn't necessarily write good songs.
Yeah, it's important. It's good to know that stuff, kind of, but yeah, I think it's if you get too lost in the academics of it all, it gets you lose the original thing.
Yeah, that's always been strange to me when talking about like things like music school and stuff, because at a certain point I totally understand the value of understanding like theory and understanding like production techniques and things like that. Like those at a certain point I think can be they can be like just quantifiable, I guess. But like I think like there's certain things within music academia that I think people try to teach, but they're not necessarily meant to be taught. Like I always question, like a lot of people who've gone to music school have told me they've taken songwriting classes. Yeah, I've always questioned like what does that mean?
Me too.
like what is a songwriting class? Like I mean you can like learn structure. Like I can teach you ABAB or whatever. Like I can teach you about a post chorus, but like how do you teach somebody how to write a good song?
It's feel
like
that.
Trying to teach somebody to relate to someone. Like, how are you going to do that?
Like, I'm to teach you how to be happy, like, or just like how to feel an emotion. Like,
it doesn't make any sense.
I kind of noticed this a lot with reading, and like, because I wasn't the best student. Like, I got by and stuff, and would just like not really read the books or whatever. Yeah. And like, it was always so boring to me. Like, and like the academics, and like I didn't go to college, but like I started reading recently again. Like I got really inspired to read because I was like, I want to like be like I need to like expose myself to more things and like more like art. And I even started reading like books. I hope I don't sound like illiterate. Like I could have like maybe I could have went to college, but I didn't. And then I started reading and like even read like the boring books like that I was forced to read in high school and was like,
these are good.
This shit's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like 1984, sick. Yeah. Like what? It's just so boring because when you're forced to kind of like make it like an academic program, like I feel like you lose the individual experience. Like you're kind of robbed of it almost. Like not always, and I'm sure like especially when you like people in university who study on a more advanced level, like are they embrace that. But at least my experience is like, like it's like a whole new world that I'm like rediscovering because I don't know, like it just was like something I kind of pinned as like boring and now it's like rediscovering it is really cool.
I think there's an aspect of that too where like I find that creative types often struggle with being told what to do. I think I'm very much like that. And I think because I love reading, I read a ton. And I also was not very good in school. I got by, I guess, but I didn't go to college either. And I never liked reading in school, and I love it now so much. It's so deflating for me in a good way. Like it really allows me to decompress. And I think I was almost robbed of that because of the ego I had when I was a kid because I just didn't want to be fucking told what to do.
That's literally probably what it is for me. Yeah. Like that's literally like that's so funny you say that because that's definitely what it is. Yeah. It might be that more than anything else.
Well, I think artists are like very often individualists, you know, like not in like a bad way, but just in the sense like I think most artists have like a really keen sense of like what they want to say and like who they are. So I think when somebody else comes in and tries to tell you what you have to do, I don't know, I think it's easy to conflate those two things as somebody, you know, telling you to read because it's good for you versus somebody telling you like read because I'm telling you to, but you don't feel like a reader, you know?
Yeah. You got to find it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, dude. Yeah.
I'm working on that.
I feel it.
I'm working on not having to find everything for myself.
I feel you. Watching the live session, I wanted to ask you about something specific in it that really interested me because I saw there was a comment about this asking about why you were using two vocal mics. I thought that was really cool. And you responded, and I didn't quite, honestly, I don't have the music technology to fully understand what you were saying, but it was something like this is running in effects, or this is running into an effect pedal into the synth, or something along those lines. I'm not sure if I just butchered that, but I was curious, like, coming from a producer background, like, I keep saying that, I'm sorry, but like, doing that, did that like change the way that you've programmed a lot of your stuff for the live setting and the recording setting? Like, are you somebody who's experimenting a lot with different synth patches and different like ways to, you know, program your stuff live?
I think I love playing with that type of shit, and I think that definitely has influenced that. Like, wanting to find, and like, you know, the synth vocal effect thing is like the one thing that we were fucking around with that ended up like becoming something we did. Or there was like a lot of other things that like we did and it's like, okay, this sucks, like no, this is not gonna work. No. So yeah, I think experimenting is a big part of it. But yeah, to go into that, it's just like one of the microphone, like it looks like cooler than it is, but it's just like 2 microphones, and then one of them is going into his like synth box, magic box that he built, like it's like the Euro rack stuff, and then it's just like he's feeding it into like his like synthesizer modules, and can like do like a bunch of glitchy effects with it and stuff, and like
so he's like affecting your voice in live time. So will he press a knob and then it like changes the distortion of your voice, things like that?
No, I think it's like I think the word is granular. Like it'll take pieces of what I'm feeding, like what it's feeding the machine, and like kind of like spit it back out randomly, so it'll sound like glitchy, like or like in reverse, and like just reverb, and so kind of like a simple, like not super like crazy, but yeah, it's a fun way to kind of spice things up, and it's not just like normal echo or normal reverb. It kind of has like this weird thing about it. But yeah,
the whole modular synth world is so intense. Like I had my friend Geller on here, who's like a really, really good, like very talented producer and composer, and like just like he's so deep into that like synth and like modifying world, and like all of the weird patches, and like building the racks and stuff, and that is a whole world in itself. Like that becomes like such a like deep practice in people's process,
and that's the world my brother lives in.
That's cool,
and that's a world I like will gladly like
supersede,
let him handle. Like whenever I want anything like that, I just don't really think about it. I'm just like, Jacob, you should come over.
Did your brother move out here with you when you first came?
No, he moved here like a year ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or 2. No, like like a year ago.
You guys are really close?
Oh yeah,
that's sick.
Yeah, he's it's been really nice having him here.
Did you guys make music together when you were kids?
Yeah, we were in a band.
Nice. Like
a while ago, and then he kind of like, I started the studio thing and he started like gardening.
Okay,
and, like,
nice.
Sustainable agriculture king. But then like we kind of both, then he moved, and then we both like now we're like working together all the time.
That's really cool.
And he plays in the band, and so sick.
That's got to be such a gratifying and like really just like, I don't know the right word, but wholesome, or just like beautiful thing to experience, like making music with your sibling like that.
It feels like you're playing like when we're little kids, we used to play together all the time, like have all these like games that no one else could understand.
Me and my brother too.
Yeah, so it's like I Know That You Wouldn't is literally like he came to visit once, like, and we just made that song, and that's like literally like captured like that, like we were just like in that feeling, and I feel like that's why it's like so fun and just like an easy listen. It's just kind of like the capturing of that.
That's really beautiful. It's a, how old's your brother?
He's 21. He's 2 years, or 22.
Gotcha.
22.
That's such a, I mean, I relate to that a lot, but I have one brother that's a year and 4 days younger than me, another one who's like 5 years younger than me, but like that really, really strange unspokenism thing with a brother is a hard phenomenon to define. It almost like it's so difficult to wrap your brain around, but it's just like you guys know things together that nobody else will know. And I also think this is an interesting angle to it as well. I think one thing that's like really, really valuable about having a sibling is like they're the only other one that will truly ever understand the way that you grew up. Like to the degree they do, you know? Like you can tell people about your upbringing and stuff, but like your sibling lived it with you a lot of the times.
That's trippy. It's sometimes like it's trippy to like be around your adult siblings and then be like, we were in the fucking trenches. We were like 3. I was like pooping with you. I was pooping my pants with you.
Yeah, type shit. You've seen it all.
But I kind of think like that vibe of like playing with your siblings is like that you're saying like undescribable feeling is like almost the same. It's very similar to like making like art, like that like feeling you're chasing is like that. Something about those two things feels really oddly similar.
I mean, they're both hard. Yeah, I mean, they're both hard to define. Like, you can't really put exactly a pin on the emotion, but it's like it's almost just like a familiar thing, but it's also like a longing in a way. It's a very I totally see the comparison you're making.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you're making music with him versus other people, there's like more of an unspoken connection where like you guys just understand what each other are trying to do musically?
I think so. Yeah, like definitely. But I also feel like the flow state, like that you get, the flow state. Yeah, like that feeling is like you kind of just get that with everyone. But yeah, there's definitely kind of like that repetitive after 20 years of doing that with somebody. It definitely feels like super natural, and yeah, it is a little more like telekinesis vibes for sure.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I feel very similar with my brother with pretty much everything we do. Even when we talk, there'll be like different inflections and things where like I know where he's going, you know? Like it gets strange.
Yeah.
I was curious, like as you've kind of rolled the new stuff out and showed people and things, I mean, like I keep going back to it, but like genre-wise, you're very hard to pin down. Have you expected people, or like have people labeled the new stuff in the way that you thought they would? Like the way that you would label it sonically, has it been the same way that other folks have described it to you, or has it been different?
I feel like I honestly don't really know. Like I don't even really have a label for it. People still like, I feel like some people still call it like indie folk, which I'm like, but that's okay. Like, so no, I'm very confused, and I think so I don't really like know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe for the better. I think the most interesting things are things that are hard to define.
Yeah. If I get put on like Spotify playlist or anything, like, yeah, we'll see like what they call that shit. I don't know.
Let Lizzie Zabo decide.
Yeah, exactly.
Let the curators decide what my genre is.
She just followed me like 2 days ago.
Oh,
like, so stoked.
Massive dub.
I hope she doesn't see. Like, I hope that's not weird to say, but
I feel like she probably hasn't seen this. I don't know. She probably wouldn't watch it. If you're watching Lizzie Zabo, go.
I was really excited because I've been following her for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, bro. She's like the LA like curator. Like everybody's like, oh, dude, I got the Lizzie Zabo follow back. It's over. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, it's weird to try to label yourself. I think I really feel like with everything, like whether it's musical or not, maybe this is just me, but I've always felt like the most interesting shit is the stuff that's hard to define, things that you can't put a label on, you can't put a pin in. It's, I don't know, it makes it, I think, offensive by nature in a really cool way. Yeah. I think like things that intend to offend are really, really cool. Like, and not offend in terms of like, you know, make somebody feel bad, but offend in terms of like confuse people. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to be too. I'm not mad about it. Like, I think like, yeah, that just is a good sign that at least you know you're not like completely copying something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's good or not, like I can't speak on that, but like at least you can sleep at night knowing that you're not copying, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good place to like label it. Like if people are having trouble comparing you to other artists, I think that's where you want to be.
Yeah. 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 I do, and I do get like, I feel like I get compared to like people, and I get it, and I can agree with that and be okay with that. I feel like I've heard like Alex G or like
you can see that, Smith, I guess. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean those are good artists to be compared to for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some artists hate that. Like a lot of artists really hate when people compare them to other folks. I actually feel bad because I think I do it sometimes on the show by accident. I don't really mean to, but I think like sometimes I'll be like, oh, your sound is akin to this, and they'll be like, oh, like really?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I can get why people like are pissed by it. Like,
yeah.
I feel that too, but also like at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And like also like comparing me to like, or like, okay, let's say for example you were to compare someone to Alex G. It's like, to which Alex G song? They're like,
yeah,
it's like
which era?
In order for you to do that, you need to like pigeonhole like that too.
Yeah.
Like it's still like pretty broad, you know.
That's a big one too. Like there's certain like artists that people be like, oh, like there's like some like there's almost like a camp of artists that like people get compared to. I feel like that happens a lot in the indie sphere. Yeah. I feel like I hear like the Alex G comparisons with a lot of people. It's like people just hear anybody who has like more of like a emotional or kind of like whiny voice, and they're like, oh, like Alex G. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah.
So it's like totally. What part? Yeah.
And yeah, and it's not like Alex G is like, I mean, I fucking love Alex G, don't get me wrong, but he's not the first person to sing like that.
Yeah,
no. He's definitely not going to be the fucking last.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. All right, sick. Dylan, this was really cool, man.
Yeah, this was really fun.
I really appreciate it.
Me.
Yeah, last thing I think I wanted to ask you, with the new music rolling out, if you had like one message that you could translate through the project or in the new music rolling out, like what's one thing you want people to get out of it? One message that you hope folks would receive from it?
One message I hope people receive. I feel like, I don't know, just have fun, like listen to it and just like, I don't know, however, I feel like it's a weird project, and like just like have fun with it, like let it take you where it goes. I don't know. Yeah, I guess the message is kind of like, I have no message, but just like enjoy it and see what you get from it, give it a shot, see if you fuck with it,
approach it with an open mind and see where it takes you.
I think it's like, I don't know, I'm not like the type of artist who's like really like trying to say something very exact, so I think like whatever you get from it, if you get something or anything from it, that's a success in my book. Yeah, that's
cool, man. That's really cool. Dylan Thom,
yes,
thank you, dude. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I'm a very big fan of you and very excited to kind of catch you as you're rolling out all this new music and as things hopefully begin to like change and take a life of its own. I'm really excited to see where you go next.
Fuck yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, bro. Tell them where they could listen, where they can stream the new music, where they can see you live, etc. We're doing a show with Dylan on April 27th at Escondiit. Be there.
Yes, April 27th, free show, $5 beers. I'm going to be having a few
Can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Yeah, literally can't beat it. And then you can find me, Dylan, DYLAN Dylan Thom on Instagram. I have a new song coming out May 2nd, Carry, and then that's going to be the first, and then just like every month, cascade release.
Hell yeah, baby.
Type vibe.
Sick. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. This is fun.
Thank you so much.
Hell yeah. Music matters.